A little book that is entertaining, thought provoking, and more from Atlantic staff writer James Parker. Welcome back to Techstination. I'm Fred Fishkin. The book is titled, you have to love this, Get Me Through the Next 5 Minutes, Odes to Being Alive. Hi, James.
Hi, Fred. Thank you for having me.
Well, a pleasure. Congratulations on this book. So many wonderful nuggets. We'll call
Thank
them
you.
odes because that's what they are. Tell us how this came about.
Well, I started writing these odes for the Atlantic in the inside back page of the Atlantic. Um, and I wasn't sure what to call them at first. I didn't really know what they were. They were just these kind of little effusions in prose. But my editor said, "Why don't we call them odes?" And at that point, the sort of the mission kind of came into focus a little bit, and they became these pretty short kind of exercises in not always gratitude, but appreciation, investigation, a way of getting under the skin of reality, if possible, in quite a short time. So that's what they are.
So there are many of them here. So the ode to the crying baby, and ode to naps,
Yeah.
and the ode to giving people money. Tell us about the process of writing these.
Well, first you have to keep your eyes and your ears and your nervous system open to what might be an ode, like what aspect of the world is presenting itself in such a fashion that you might be able to, pay it the homage of an ode. And what I came to understand is that odes are bloody everywhere. I mean, they're absolutely jostling for your attention once you get yourself into that state. So ode to crying babies, for example. I mean, that starts with me on a plane with a crying baby, 10 rows ahead. I mean, most people have had that experience. And just beginning to think about that and thinking about the awesome power of this tiny little person who is actually completely powerless, but has the whole plane kind of at their mercy in a funny way, and thinking about what the terms of their kind of protest might be, why they're crying, what's making them cry. So that sort of thing, Fred. You just kind of go with it, and the ode itself takes you where it needs to go. I mean, that's the idea anyway.
Right. And often you're thinking about things in a different way, like everyday stuff, and you go off on a tangent on it.
Yeah.
There's
I mean, I think that's the ticket. If you can find some interest and some pleasure and some satisfaction and some stimulation in the everyday stuff, then I think you're really in business. Then I think you're enjoying your life. And that's they were very helpful to me in that way. The O's they kept reminding me, pay attention. This is interesting. This is fascinating. Pay attention.
and there are times when you like to poke or provoke, like the ode to not meditating.
Yes. So there's also an ode to meditating, because I'm kind of in both. I'm kind of in both camps there. I mean, I've as any person who's tried meditation will say, I'm a very bad meditator. Everybody says that. That's the nature of meditation. You feel completely distracted and crazy while it's happening. Nonetheless, I did do it for quite a long time. And then I stopped in the middle of the pandemic. I just thought I don't need to level myself out anymore. Everything's flat as a pancake. I need some peaks and troughs. So I kind of gave myself over to the non-meditative state, which is the state of just being shoved around by your thoughts and emotions. Um, and that's what that ode is about.
And you got a line in there: close your third eye and open the other two.
Thank you for quoting that. Thank you.
Any personal favorites? I know it's hard. I mean, it's like you have children, right? So, but any
Yeah.
personal favorites here?
I'm very proud of Ode to the Right Art at the Right Time, which is about me at boarding school in England, and my mother giving me a copy of The Wall by Pink Floyd, the Pink Floyd album The Wall that came out in 1979, and that being a kind of artistic salvation for me, explaining so much to me about Englishness and the class system and the education system and the way in which my a kind of artificial self was being constructed for me, or I was constructing it too, that would eventually have to be broken apart by life, which did indeed happen, thank God. So yeah, all of that is in there. So I'm pretty proud of that one.
A lot of inspiration there. So, would you liken this process at all to songwriting?
Oh, I've never written a song, so I don't really know. I mean, they do. I do. I love music. I listen to all sorts of music all the time, and songwriters do say that the stuff just comes at them, the good stuff. It kind of floats down, and they're just kind of passing it on. So that's definitely how I feel about the good ones. That they arrive without much strain. I mean, there's obviously a level of craft, if I can use that word, involved in getting it done to the best degree you can manage. But the good ones sort of come at you. Yeah, so maybe it is a bit like songwriting in that way. I mean, Neil Young, for example, he talks a lot about just being ready. You have to be ready for this. You keep yourself in a state of readiness for the songs to come. They're going to pop up like rabbits, and you just have to grab them. But you have to be ready. You can't be numb. You can't be distracted. You can't be addicted. You've got to be ready.
Yeah, I think Paul Simon said his latest album, The Seven Psalms, it came to him when he was sleeping.
Right, right, right. That has not happened to me. No odes have come in dreams. That unfortunately, I would love it if that was the case, but no, not so far.
But you invite readers here to write odes of their own.
Yeah.
What are the secrets to doing that?
The secrets are the secrets are, I think, to try and come back at the world with a bit of energy. The world is shoving energy at you all the time in a million different forms. And if you can, I mean, you can't match it. I think we're all outmatched in that sense. But you can, if you come up with your own language, if you trust your own perceptions, I think that's really important. Have some respect for your own kind of perceptual equipment, your own operation, and look after it. Don't abuse it. Um, if you and keep yourself, like as we were saying, in that state of readiness, and then I think the stuff will come at you, and you'll find yourself able to write about it perhaps in a different way than you imagined.
I got to ask you this:
Mm,
being an author, a staff writer for Atlantic,
mm.
what are your thoughts about AI? I don't know if you've done an ode to it yet, but
I'm such a low tech guy. I mean, obviously, I know what it is, but I've never done it. I don't know how to do it or use it for anything. So I've got my head in the sand about that completely, Fred. Obviously, it's not going to going to go away, and ignoring it is not a solution to any of the difficulties or the complications. But nonetheless, that at the moment, that's my posture.
do you think if you saw an ode that was written by a generative AI tool that you'd recognize it as being
That's the
not
question, isn't
human?
it? I like to think I would, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we're all capable of being hoodwinked by this stuff.
Tell us a bit about the long-term project you've been involved with there up in Boston, the Black Seed Writers Group.
Oh, thank you for asking. Yeah, so that's a writers group for homeless, transitional, and recently housed writers. That's the rubric. The key word there is transitional, people who are on the move between one state and another.
This is a
Um,
long-term thing. You've been at this for some time.
Yeah, I've been at this for 13 years. And we do it every Tuesday in the basement of a cathedral here in Boston. We meet and we write. And my kind of spiel is that it's not therapy, it's not a ministry, it's not social work, it's not a classroom, it's a space to write. So then it becomes a question of holding that space and maintaining the boundaries and making sure that it's a place that people trust enough to write what's most important to them in there. And then we collect the stuff and we do a lot of publishing. We have a magazine called The Pilgrim. You can find that online. Um, so yeah, it's a huge part of my life, and I love it, and I love the writers.
What have we learned about? I mean, people have a certain perception of homeless people. They don't necessarily think of them as writers.
Yeah, I mean, I would say any perception you have, abandon it immediately because you cannot imagine a more diverse, heterogeneous, and fascinating crew. The one thing they have in common, I would say, is that they're aristocrats of experience. I mean, they know a lot more about society and how it works than your average, person like me. Um, so I go to them for knowledge, and they're very generous with it.
Just terrific. Congratulations on that. The book again, Get Me Through the Next 5 Minutes, Odes to Being Alive. James Parker, congratulations on all of your wonderful work, and thank you for spending time with us.
I so appreciate it, Fred. Thank you for having me on Techstination.